And Roger Walls, in my opinion, was one of our most outstanding quarterbacks in the history of Highlands High School.
Well, I started playing varsity football as a freshman. And again, you get better by playing against people that are better than you at the time. And that's basically how I got started, and just continued with it. We won my junior and senior year, won the state championships. That was great.
In 1960, we go ahead and win the state championship. And the big thing about it is we played male high school during the season, and they were the AAA champions. We were the AA champions ending up. And we beat male in a big game, 26-21. And I'll never forget Roger throwing a deep touchdown pass to Bob Steinhauser. I give Roger credit for that. He led us through that game.
In both those championship games, we were well prepared. And that's the thing you learn. You learn that whatever you're doing, you gotta be prepared for whatever situation might come up.
I had 4 All-American quarterbacks, and I would put Roger in that group as probably the best quarterback I had the opportunity to coach. I spent many hours with Roger as we developed our program at Highlands, and he learned every technique that there is in the book about being a top quarterback.
Well, I think with Coach Rice and Coach Halk here, they were ahead of the game as far as high school coaches. We were a very disciplined team. We worked on mechanics all the time. And then from an academic standpoint, the teachers I had all were great and took an interest in you.
Roger went on to be a coach, state championship at Highlands, and an athletic director, and he gave his whole person to our great school. Roger Walsh has played a big role in all of that, and a very outstanding player, person, coach, athletic director, and a positive leader.
I think when you look at everything that Rob has accomplished through the course of his life, he's an example of the Highlands student athlete. He excelled not only in football, but also track and swimming, and of course also excelled in the classroom. And I think all of those experiences have led him to where he is today. Rob was bigger than most of the other guys, so that set him apart, and that was certainly a big help on the O-line. I think he also had a lot of drive and determination. Every year he wanted to do better, take the team to a higher level.
Well, what did high school football teach me about other aspects of life? I think the teamwork. I think you know, almost any field that you're in, you know, that's going to tend to be very important. You know, realizing that you're just one piece of the machine, whatever it is you're in. I'm in the emergency department now, and you know, it takes a lot of teamwork to you know, to carry on the the department and to care for people, and I think football really helps teach you that. In a game, I think you know the other players, and you can tell them, you know, what they might be doing wrong, and other guys can grab you and tell you, you know, what you need to do. And I think if you don't go through all the other steps leading up to that, I think that might make it tough. But when it's somebody that you've kind of been through some battles with and trained with, it really bonds you and makes it special.
Well, I think Rob's got a kind heart. I think that he is willing to step up and help out anybody. Let's just look at what he does for a living. He works in the ER. The ER is a hard job to do for 15 or 16 years as he has. And you know, you take all comers in the ER, and I think that Rob does that with pride, and I think that's really kind of the kind of guy Rob is, not only at work but outside of work. If there's somebody that needs help, he's happy to step up.
I nominated James Raymond Burt, and better known to all of us as Jim, and nominated him for 2 reasons. 1, he was an excellent student, and 2, he was very good in 3 different sports here at Highlands. Drafted by the Detroit Tigers as a pitcher. He was drafted by the New York Jets as a wide receiver, and he was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams as a quarterback, which he turned all that down to become a physician.
Of the game, it got to the point where I just enjoyed the competitiveness of it, and obviously enjoyed winning.
He set Northern Kentucky Athletic Conference scoring record, and he had a phenomenal year. What makes this unique for him, I think, is that his junior year here at Highlands, he was only 15 years old.
At young, obviously, you're overmatched in a lot of situations. Fortunately, we had coaching staff that realized that. It wasn't a gung-ho, stick your nose in there when obviously it's a mismatch. And when you have people with the knowledge that you have with Homer Rice and Bob Luckey and people like that, then you're sort of protected until you are capable.
Fondest memory of my brother, I think, on the field was the time that we had together, and most probably the championship game that we got to play in together, and our senior year, and see that come to be a reality.
I owe it all to Highlands. Academically, great foundation, and I don't think the students may realize that at this stage of their career, but it is it's a fantastic foundation.
Well, they really believed in being coachable. They believed in Coach Murphy. They did what he told them to do. Well, they had great players and coaches. You know, their head coach was Mike Murphy, who was just a great high school football coach. I mean, they just had a great coaching staff, and they had great players. I mean, Tim Rackey went to Purdue, and Rick Hoffman went to Indiana, and Clem Fennell and Greg Etchen went to UC, and Jim Waite went to Cornell. I mean, it was a great team. Bill Hesh, Steve Graves was a wide receiver who you could not tag if you were in a phone booth. They played a reading defense where they weren't stunning much at all except for when Krentz would blitz. They each had to rely on each other, and when that worked, it just worked perfectly, and it worked perfectly all year long. They only gave up something like, I don't know, 2 or 3 touchdowns all season. It was just a thing of beauty how they all worked together. And so I think what they knew is that working for the good of the whole helps everybody individually and helps a team be successful. They were an intelligent group, and they all did it. You know, they all were dedicated year-round to being good athletes. I really believe it was that camaraderie that led to the team success and so much of their individual success too.
Well, Nancy, first of all, I knew she belonged in the Hall of Fame. It was just a matter of in what position. I thought it as an athlete, and I also thought as a coach. Nancy's so caring, and I think that, again, about her, through her athletes, through her friends that she has, I think that she really shows through as far as how much she does care for everyone. It doesn't matter if she's meeting someone. I can be with Nancy and we walk down the street and everybody runs up to her, they honk or they wave, because everyone knows Nancy. And that's what, there has to be something special, and there is, because she does care for them. And I think that those athletes or parents or school children, it doesn't matter who it is, they know that Nancy's always cared about them. And there is that special bond that she has.
Swimming, I actually started in 5th grade. So it was an 8-year letterman in swimming. And I was a member of the Cincinnati Marlins, the original member, which was a club team at the time that was just being developed. We were competitive, we were challenged by our coaches, and successful. We had, good football teams, we had good basketball teams. We were successful in the girls' activities that we did. When I was in high school, the only state-sanctioned sports for girls that we had at Highlands were swimming and tennis. And other than that, it was just the intramural, and then also having the opportunity to play, some other schools. Highlands gave me the opportunity to love the sports and activities that I participated in, and to be able to give back that burning desire and that fun aspect of being a member of a team, whether it was a championship team or just being a part of the team. I think it's just invaluable for students to have that opportunity.
Coach Luckey was an exceptional coach. He loved the game and had a good knowledge of it. He showed sincere respect for the game and for his players, in fact, for everyone. He was a disciplinarian who expected self-discipline. He installed in his players that he had it himself, a will to win. Kind and generous can be, and from my remembrances, he would procure Bengals tickets and would take me with him on Sunday to a Bengals game. As I went through these, the word that comes over and over again is respect. He asked his philosophy was to show respect. He respected his coaches. He respected the players, and he expected them to show the same. And he respected the opponents, the officials. Work hard, play to win, have self-discipline, and show respect for others. That was his essence. That's what he was. And that brings tears to my eyes. He was a memorable man.
Well, he was one of the few players that played both ways on the football team, and he went on and played football and ran track, and also he was a track star at Highlands. He went on to the Air Force Academy and played track and football at the Air Force Academy. Graduated and was an F-4 pilot and shot down and killed in Vietnam. And he was my hero, and he was very, very unique, and he was is still missing in action since August 1st of 1968 when he was shot down. Well, I was over in Vietnam with him the last week of July of 1968, and we were sitting there in his alert shack waiting for him to go on a mission, and I was up there working on Goonie Birds, that's the aircraft that I was working on as a mechanic over in Vietnam, and we were talking war stories about Fort Thomas and how much we enjoyed and missed Fort Thomas, and I actually got to spend the last week with my brother before he was shot down on August 1st of 1968. It's just back in the Owen Houck and Homer Rice days. It's just the way that they were brought up and the way that they were taught how to do things and responsibility and how to continue with your life and make your life good had a lot to do with your upbringing in Fort Thomas. It's just the history with football and the way it is and how you're raised in Fort Thomas with the upbringing and the spirit and everything, and how it's great how parents and the whole city participates in everything and raises their children in Fort Thomas.
Cindy is just an all-around wonderful person. She's kind and considerate and always puts others in front of herself. I looked up to her as a role model and a mentor. Cindy was the main reason I was successful, because she made sure that I fit in and I was comfortable and always took care of me, whether that be in practice, whether that be walking to school or working home from school. She always kind of looked after me.
Just being a Bluebird, it's awesome. There's nothing like it. It's a great school. Teachers are great. The support system. The students, I felt like I had tons of friends. The community, we had tons of people that always came out and supported us. With being team sports, my surrounding players that I played with were great. We were all friends, just lifelong friends that I still love seeing today and contact a lot of them. Coaches the same way. Unfortunately, volleyball coach Frankie Borman, she has passed away since I've played, and just great memories. Don Dobson was the basketball coach, and I see him up at school still with his grandson and stuff.
Clearly, she was, an outstanding athlete, an athlete on the team that was a leader and was looked up to not only by me, but by all of her teammates.
So I miss the team. I miss the unity. I miss the coaches. I made lifelong friends and just taught you a whole bunch. There's not a better high school in the state, probably in the world. And you are expected to do well. They give you the groundwork to do it. And if you work hard, you can achieve at a high level.
In track, he threw the shot and ran the hurdles, which is a wild combination, and was a really good shot putter and hurdle runner, but still not the star. He was a guy that just wanted to do what he could to help the team. He was a senior, I was a sophomore. He was a junior, I was a freshman. And he was always good to us younger guys. In school, he was just always a good guy. He was just the epitome of being a good lineman, doing what he could to make the back be able to be a great player. So he's an All-American 175-pound offensive guard. So he had to do it right. He had to block with perfect technique. He had to know what he was doing. He had to know his opponent's weaknesses. He really did it on his total being.
As I got to the high school, Bill Herman, you guys interviewed him earlier today. He was my offensive line coach, and I was small, and he taught me technique, and he drilled technique into my head. He was a math teacher, and everything about his approach to blocking was angles, leverage. You could see him applying mathematics, and I was able to block bigger and better players, and it allowed me to start on teams that won. Well, I came all the way through the Fort Thomas junior football system, and I played freshman football with all the guys that I'd been playing with since 4th grade. We already had camaraderie, and we were teammates in every sense of the word, knew each other's capabilities, knew how to push each other further. Best part about it was the fact that it was built on teams and players that we had already formed those bonds that people talk about in sports relationships.
I think he made a big impact on Highlands football for years because guys saw him and saw that trying hard paid off.
I give it back to the coaches. As I said, they pushed me harder than I had pushed myself. They expected more than I expected of myself. They made me realize I could do it, and I started setting the bar higher for myself. Those are all invaluable lessons. They're still going on today. You learn that if you work that hard, you can excel and achieve.
He was just a guy that you could count on, was fun to be around, was a silly, goofy guy just like everybody else, but was a hardworking, dependable, highly motivated guy.
Everybody called him by his first name, Bernie. Now, you don't do that in high school. You never refer to your coaches and your teachers by their first name. But for some reason, it got started. And as far as I know, he's the only teacher at Highlands that was ever called by his first name by not only the other teachers, but by all the students. My father played for Al Rader in Cleveland, and by the way, he's on the Cleveland Hall of Fame as high school football player there. He went on to Ohio University, played football at Ohio University, and in the meantime, Al Rader, his high school football coach, had moved to Fort Thomas. He then saw that my dad had graduated from college at OU, and he approached my dad then to come and coach again with him. We always had people in the house, football players, and they would sit at the kitchen table and set those players up and decide on what kind of plays to run and that sort of stuff. So I sort of grew up with football coaching in the house. Obviously, he was a teacher as well as a coach, and he taught woodworking shop, taught what we called shop class back in those days. And I wondered at the time, or later wondered why he wanted everybody to make a pump lamp. And the reason that he did is that to make that pump lamp, you had to use every tool in the shop. We grew up in Fort Thomas, and all the time my dad was a teacher the whole time that I went through elementary school. Of course, I went to Ruth Moyer in Highlands, but he was a coach all the time I was growing up in Fort Thomas.
And she was an outstanding athlete. Melissa, I first came across playing soccer with two of my daughters, and she was the best player on the field. She was small, quick, great wherewithal, just had a great psychic for athletics in general. She was just outstanding as a player, and she had a lot of good players that played with her during that period of time. And she was dependable. She simply was talented and kept her head right all through her career.
We had so many good coaches and teachers at Highlands, and I just remember the overall message of that you have to work hard for your goals, and that things aren't always going to go the way you want them to, but sports are a great analogy for preparing yourself for life, because sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, but doing your best is really what matters. You know, I was really fortunate. You know, I played for Coach Shields in softball, and he gave us a lot of things to live by, but I always just remember him, you know, encouraging us to learn from our mistakes. He kept a mistake chart, and we had to learn from what we did wrong, but it was really good for us to, you know, to really analyze what we were doing well and what we weren't and how we could improve. The 1983-84 school year, when I was a freshman, was my most memorable year as far as playing sports at Highlands. We won a regional basketball championship and got to play in the state tournament, and it was really our first time that Highlands had won a regional championship in girls basketball, and that highlight is probably my most prominent one of my time there. It was just a great experience, and I had wonderful teammates. All 5 of our starters averaged double figures. Nobody cared who scored. We just really cared about each other and doing our best to try to win. Okay. I just really had a great experience growing up in Fort Thomas, and being a part of going to school and being a student athlete at Highlands was just really a great experience for me. I was very fortunate. I had great teammates and coaches and teachers that encouraged me and supported me and really helped me grow. So, I mean, overall, I just really enjoyed my time there, and it made such a positive impact on me.
She's a very sincere young lady. She's got a big heart. She's been successful in many ways in life, but she's as genuine as they come. She always says hello. She always appreciates being around you, talking to you on the phone. She's just a good human being.